I love Joe Rogan. By the way, we're live. Hello, everyone. I love Joe
Yo,
Rogan.
how you doing?
I love Joe Rogan. I can go 3 hours. But I think that's where he's a genius, in my opinion, though,
I
because
don't need to know about your sex life, bro.
I can't. Well, 3 hours if like I do it beforehand. That's a little secret for the gentleman. If you do it beforehand, you'll last longer.
There you go. What a way to
Ne-
start this show off, huh?
Right now, speaking of Alice in Wonderland, I know we weren't mentioning that, but did you
Right.
Did you know that that movie or that book was entirely about drugs?
Obviously. Yeah, that's kind of an obvious. Should I tell people who I am?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
All right. Yo, everybody, it's D.A. Morris. Happy to be here on the Pink Sock podcast.
Yeah, and he's also a champion.
MVP Master Champion. MVP will be at the Charleroi Market House in Pennsylvania tomorrow night at 6 p.m. $20 tickets. Be there. Okay, there's my plug.
All right, there you go. That was a great plug. You do an amazing job.
Oh, shit.
Oh fuck! I fell over.
Yeah.
Do you have action figures? That'd be cool as fuck.
I do not. I do have. Hi, dog. I do have shirt, as you can see here. My dog wants to say hi. I know. I'm on your phone, baby.
I wonder how much it would cost to have action figures made.
I don't know because I see there's some guys who do it. I don't even know the first thing, even who to try to get a hold of for that. Can you hear me okay? Because I got my
I can hear
mic
you
in.
perfectly fine, brother.
All right, because I'm a little bit more distance from the camera than I usually am.
Oh, you're good. And I love your hat. Where'd you get it at?
Spirit Halloween.
Oh, nice. They have some great stuff.
Oh yeah, I walked in there and I was just dressed normal, and I tried it on. I was like, "This goes with my goddamn look." All right.
You want to know what else?
Had to get it.
You know what else has some pretty good shit? Sheen. Ever go on Sheen?
No, I haven't.
Oh, dude, they have some wild shit. Sorry, my phone's going off. They have
you're fine.
I normally put it on quiet, but I forgot. But what's crazy is about Sheen is they have some really wild shit. Like I found a hat that I want to get my dad. It looks like a fucking turkey.
That'd be cool.
It's a fucking turkey leg. Like it's fucking wild, dude.
Yeah, dude. I'll definitely have to check them out.
What is your next match? You said coming up.
Well, that would be tomorrow night at the Charleroi Market House for MVP Wrestling, Mon Valley Pro Wrestling. If you're looking us up, we will be there. The show starts at 6 o'clock. Rain, sunshine. We'll be there, and we will be bringing the action like Mon Valley Pro always does.
I just had to hear that again because you're so good at it.
Get the fucking plug in.
So are you like do you do hardcore style or are you like?
I'll do whatever. Not like that.
Oh, whatever. Huh?
But I'll do hardcore matches. They don't bother me. But it's pretty much if the booker says, "Hey, we'll do this next month or next week or whenever." So there have been many times. Been many times I've walked into a show with no clue what I was doing or who I was facing or anything until like many hours later. So.
Well, the reason why I ask is because, like, since we are both wrestling fans, clearly, I was wondering what you thought about ultra violent wrestling, like the really hardcore shit, like ECW and shit.
Okay, I was hoping somebody would talk to me about this. Innovative, absolutely, but there is a line, and I feel like too many guys keep thinking we got to go bigger. We got to go bolder. We got to go more insane. And then you get people doing stupid stuff like lighting their head on fire for a headbutt.
I agree. And I've been watching wrestling clips and like I met New Jack. I don't know if I mentioned that to you before.
Oh, thank God you're alive.
He was nice to me, but I was 14 years old at the time. So like,
oh yeah. Only time I've ever seen New Jack, he was saying the N-word a lot and broke his foot off a dive, but show was hot. Like, I liked it, but still.
Friend of mine was a wrestler there for a while, and he said he's worked the same events as New Jack, but luckily never got to work with him.
Oh yeah, New Jack was one. May he rest in peace. By the way, with all due respect, New Jack was a scary motherfucker. If he didn't like you even for the slightest reason, he'd find a way to get in the ring with you just to beat the fuck out of you. Excuse my French.
You want to know what's fucking crazy? Oh, we speak French. We speak all languages here. What's fucking crazy is remember that old John Cena storyline where John Cena got stabbed at a bar and they're trying to find out who it was?
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
That was supposed
to be New Jack, yeah, instead of Jesus.
Yeah, which the Jesus thing didn't make sense, but also New Jack wouldn't have made sense either.
Well, hired gun, but at the same time, New Jack was one of those guys. If he felt like doing something, he was going to fucking do it. He didn't care.
However, New Jack did wrestle a WWF superstar. It wasn't WWE at the time; it was WWF. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but WWF.
How old do you think I am?
No, I just don't know because some people don't realize this shit because memory.
I know a lot.
Memory don't serve people well sometimes, but they did it. It wasn't really advertised a lot either, but they was doing the USWA versus WWF shit. Which some of it was advertised through Jerry Lawler, but the one that wasn't advertised, it was very weird because there was promos through USWA, but WWF never aired them. It was New Jack, well, the original Gangstas at the time, versus The Undertaker and somebody else.
Was that Smoky Mountain?
Oh, yeah, it was Smoky Mountain. And it wasn't advertised by WWF. It was advertised by Smoky Mountain.
Aha, see? I know my shit.
And it's wild. Who was Taker's partner?
Nobody. It was Taker. I think it was Taker versus New Jack.
Oh, I thought it was the original Gangstas versus Undertaker.
No, I think it was a solo match. I wasn't sure. I'd have to look it up, but
that was back in the day when like house shows would have matches like that wasn't aired.
I've never been to a WWE house show. I've heard they're a lot of fun because they have more freedom than they do on television.
AEW is the same because I've been to WWE house shows, but I've never been to television. I was at the third ever AEW Dynamite. It was in Pittsburgh, and I've been
to I believe 2 in Pittsburgh.
Dude, it was fucking so interactive and fun. Like during commercial break and shit, like they would throw out pieces of the ring. I'm like, what the fuck?
Must be nice to have a billionaire daddy.
Come on, he is rich himself, though.
Oh, no disrespect to Mr. Khan and his whole family. Please hire me. No disrespect. Because I'm sure, Tony, I know you're listening, Tony. Please, I'll do a 450 through a flaming table and barbed wire with AIDS. Do it. Hire me.
You know what's wild is there's so many guys though that got popular off the hardcore bandwagon that couldn't work in the ring. Mm-hmm. And then there are some that could work in the ring and had no reason to do the hardcore style, like Sabu.
I did hear that Balls Mahoney was one of those guys who could go in the ring, could be a really good technical, but he leaned more into hitting people with chairs.
Mick Foley was that way. Mick Foley even admitted in an interview that he wanted The Undertaker and him Hell in a Cell to be as violent as possible because he didn't think he could outshow Shawn Michaels at the previous one.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if he would have actually wrestled, it would have been a great match. Not saying what we got wasn't good, but Mick didn't have to be hardcore. He was a great wrestler.
Yeah, like, again, huge Mick Foley fan, as you can see.
Did you get to meet him?
Hold on. Yes, he saw the tattoo and everything. I have the picture, but I gotta take this hat off. I'm currently sitting in my kitchen sweating to death. So,
dude, it's fucking 80 today. Take off whatever you need. All right. It's getting that late. Go ahead. What were you saying about Mick Foley?
No.
Dude, there's no rules on this show. Just we can't show wieners. That's going to be on my OnlyFans. By the way, I started one.
Damn it. Good for you. I don't think anybody's going to pay to see this naked.
Actually, here's the fun part. I'm not making it just adult content. I'm doing exclusive content, shit that you don't normally see that might get censored, whatever. Have more of an adult-oriented podcast over there that I'm going to go live on, and then have this be what's allowed. But I
That's
am
cool.
going to be doing adult content. That's going to be what you pay for, because I don't want people to accidentally see it.
Right, and that's completely fine. I feel like it's really weird because we're in an age where people can get their voices out there more, people can get seen pretty much everywhere. So everybody's trying to find that little niche that's going to make them stand out for 15 minutes. You know what I mean?
And what's weird is the people that become popular for that one thing, and then the ones that become popular for just being popular, and it don't make sense to me, some of them, because there's musicians out there, for instance, one-hit wonders in the United States, but their music outside of that is better than what we get.
Oh, absolutely. I was just listening to Oliver Anthony.
Yes.
He's the dude. I love his stuff. Very soulful, very from the heart. That's my kind of music that I really like to relax to, and it really helps me think and process. So
My music, like, I'm not a huge Oliver Anthony fan, but he is very talented. It's not that he's not my style of music, just I haven't gotten a chance to really sit down and listen. But
if you, the weird thing is, I like a little bit of everything. Have you heard Eminem's new hit, that Houdini?
now I've heard people say that he's going back to his old style, which he is, and I think that was a
Dude,
great nod.
like, only nowadays would he be able to pull this off. He does a duet with Slim Shady. Eminem does a duet with Slim Shady. Like, the
I'm not
it's
saying
crazy.
they're the same person, but we just saw them in the same room together.
Dude, like, check out the video when you get a chance. Like, it is good shit.
It's fucking wild, because if you listen to the song and watch the video, it's basically Slim Shady, which was his nickname before, like, when he first blew up, the very, like, violent and not give a fuck. And then you have Eminem, who is like the black-haired, more toned down version. They're duetting with one another.
Right, it's insane. That's like if Mick Foley all of a sudden had Mankind, Cactus Jack, and Dude Love over to his house. Like, and you saw all four of them in a room together.
You know what made me laugh, bro? Mick Foley. No, this is comedy gold, dude. And we can watch it later if we wanted to. But Mick Foley was in one of the Royal Rumbles, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and he still lost.
Yep. Of course, then again, all the running to the ring probably blew him up, dude. Like,
dude, what was funny is I was watching that, and I'm like, when he got eliminated the last time, I'm like, watch, Commissioner Foley's gonna come out.
like he's going to pull a new one out of his hat. Like, he's going to be Kane's brother or something. He's going to come out with a Kane mask. Like, that's...
You know what's crazy is look at the wrestlers that have the gimmicks that, like, shouldn't have made it, or they had a horrible gimmick and then they were given another horrible gimmick, but the other horrible gimmick worked. Like, for instance, Kane.
Yeah.
Kane in theory shouldn't have worked. He's Undertaker, which is another gimmick that shouldn't have worked, but he's his brother who has the same moveset as him that got burnt badly in a fire wearing a mask. Now, before this, he played Sir Isaac Yankem, who was fucking Jerry Lawler's dentist.
And then was it after or before that he was Diesel?
Before that, he was Diesel, and before that, he was the Christmas creature in Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Yeah, it's crazy how where the road's going to take us. Like, I've gone under a different name at one point in my life too. It's like having a whole different life. It's weird.
Well, what's weird is the journey that Undertaker's career took. He was Mean Mark Callis, which was a biker, by the way. He played a biker character named Mean Mark Callis who came down to the ring with Sting, wasn't it?
I think he wrestled Sting. Didn't he wrestle Sting as Mean Mark Callis?
Yes, but he was part of the Twin Towers, which was him and
Dan Spivey.
Dan Spivey. It used to be Dan Spivey and Sid Vicious, wasn't it?
Right.
And then
I believe it was, but then Vicious quit or went to WWF, one of the two. I can't remember.
Which is weird because he went to WWF. Mean Mark Callis was in WWE, which Sting versus The Undertaker happening in WCW before it ever got to actually happen is crazy.
Right.
But what's weird is he played the biker character. Then he went and played this dead man thing.
The American Badass is one of my favorite characters growing up. So that's my Undertaker.
Mine,
where like my
you know,
where like my dad's Undertaker was the dead man.
with purple gloves and shit.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, the Undertaker biker was weird because we had like a year or two where like the Undertaker was still acting like the rest in peace, but he's wearing the biker shit. Remember that?
yeah. Well, there was like a period, like a transitional, where it was like very, very much. He was still coming out to ministry music and all that, but he was dressing more and more like himself.
Yeah, and then he started coming out with a bike, which was cool. But it was interesting to see because I heard a little story. It was I don't think Mark ever talked about it, but I think Bischoff did, where there was a period where Taker was not happy being the Undertaker anymore, and he got a contract from WCW where he was going to do the Mark Callis thing again, but come out with a motorcycle. And
Yeah,
he,
that's the big rumor. Is that
yeah, he
that
brought
is
that
that
up to
that's
Vince
what that
and was
was?
like, "Hey, I don't want to leave, but I'm not. I want to be more myself."
I can believe it. Again, it, rumors will fly. You'll hear 100 different stories. If you believe Hulk Hogan's new lie, I mean story, he discovered the Undertaker. Brother, 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 brother.
Also, the Undertaker broke his neck.
Yeah, which again, what anybody who's ever watched the footage can see, he doesn't go anywhere near the chair.
Didn't even fucking touch. What
Oh
pissed
my
me
god.
off is they created a whole pay-per-view around that shit just for Taker to lose.
I got a funny little story for you since we were talking about hardcore wrestling.
Uh-huh.
Okay. My brother, the distinguished Harley T. Morris. Hi, bro. I know you'll never see this, but I'm plugging you. Plug. Uh, he has been on Ridiculousness.
Oh, really?
Yes, we were doing a match. I was his manager at the time, and he was involved in a last man standing match.
Uh-huh.
And what was supposed to happen was he was supposed to come off the ladder, power bomb through a trash can. He stayed down.
Hi, Larissa.
That's not what happened. That's not what happened. When he went to take him for the power bomb, my brother's feet hooked the rails of the ladder, and when it went down, the ladder flipped, and it looked like it decapitated him. I'm now imagine me standing at ringside. That's my brother, my blood brother, and I think I just watched him get killed. Like I was like, holy shit.
I'm glad he's okay.
Oh yeah, he got backstage. It's like I don't know what happened. I think the chair hit me in the head or something when I came down. I was like, no, dude, the whole goddamn ladder came down on your freaking head.
So is that the craziest thing that's happened in the ring?
Uh, oh my god, that you got to think. I've been doing wrestling shows for 11 years. I've been going to wrestling shows since I was 13. I
So,
think the craziest thing I've ever seen done, which I would never do for $1 million, especially after what I was told after the fact. There was a promotion out in Ohio. They were doing their big WrestleMania style show. One of the guys pulled out a glass mirror and he hit the dude in the head with the glass mirror. Well, I was told later on they found a shard of glass that big behind the dude's ear.
like stabbed?
Like when the glass hit him, somehow it got lodged in the back of his ear. When he found it, he thought it was just like a little piece that was hanging on. No, it was a full-on shard.
The things people do for a couple bucks and a soda.
Hot dog and a handshake, brother. Hot dog and a handshake.
No, that's
Which,
what
by the way,
XPW
by the
paid.
way, fuck you, Jim Miller. Fuck you, Jim Miller. Go ahead.
I've heard those companies don't pay very well when they do that crazy shit because of all the fucking lawsuits they get and the fines and shit. Like XPW used to get and CZW and shit.
It depends. It depends where you're running. Because, fun fact, in my beloved state of West Virginia, there is no athletic commission, which means you can do whatever the hell you want. Now, if you're willing to fall into barbed wire, take chair shots to the head, thumbtacks, whatever, for $20, $50, hot dog handshake, or the love of the game, good for you. Not me. Yeah, I'm going to do that kind of stuff. I'm getting paid.
Bro, I read somewhere that, like, and not just read, I've seen interviews. The dude even admitted to it. Ian Rotten, who runs IWA Mid South,
I
he
heard he's a
paid,
scumbag.
he
But,
paid people
but
in fucking pills.
yeah, some promoters will. Nobody I've dealt with, but I have heard stories of shady promoters paying the boys in drugs and God knows what else. Nobody I've met. Everybody I've worked has been legit. So
West
making that
Virginia,
perfectly clear.
West Virginia just chewed the bullets, huh? That shit's crazy. You know what's crazy is, you know what I would love to see? Hear me out. I'd love to see more sports do what pro wrestling does.
In what way?
Like storytelling. Like, I want to know why two UFC guys hate each other.
Right, and see that's what I try to get through to people. Why I enjoy wrestling more than I do football or other sports is because they give you a reason to be invested.
Yeah, it's
Whether you believe it's real or not or whatever, it's the investment of, okay, this guy did something scummy, so I want to see him get his head kicked in. Everybody can relate to that.
okay. I'm not even a wrestler. I've never been in the business. I've been a fan most of my life. I hate it when somebody's like, it's fake, right? Like, I'm a
Oh,
32-year-old man
yeah.
watching a half undead human being choke slam a dude half naked and covered in gold into a casket. Of course, I know this isn't real.
It, okay, my hip has been messed up for like 2-3 months now because I took a 450 and the guy landed feet first into my hip. What we do is not fake. It hurts. Every bit of it hurts. Every slam, every punch, every bit of it hurts. It's just the adrenaline you feel when you hear that crowd going nuts for what you're doing and everything goes the way you want it to, or it goes really well. The high you get from that, you won't feel nothing until well after.
The proper terminology for those that want to understand pro wrestling, it isn't fake. It's predetermined. Thank you, Larissa.
I always tell people wrestling is not acting, it's improv.
Yeah.
Because you go out there and if something happens, let's say I have the whole thing laid out, whatever. If something happens, let's say I twist my ankle 2 minutes in or whatever, and we got to speed things up. You need to work on the fly. You need to know what you're doing in there. It's not as simple as people think it is. It really isn't.
You want to know something crazy? And I know you know this, but it's just for the listeners. The Undertaker, when he wrestled Mankind, it has a lot to do with what you're saying, injuries and shit. When Undertaker fought Mankind in the Hell in a Cell, everybody talks about how Mankind threw his shoulder out falling off the cell. What they don't mention is Mark Calloway at the time was wrestling with a sprained ankle the entire fucking match.
Yep, and Mick Foley with his tooth coming out of his nose, and
Didn't he have a tooth that went through his lip, and when he was smiling, he was trying to get his tongue to go through the hole?
yeah, what he said happened was during not the first fall, but the second one when he got choke slammed through the cell, the chair that they had on top of the cell came down and bashed him in the face.
Okay, by the way, this crazy motherfucker didn't fall off the cell once, but twice.
Twice. That's what everybody forgets. They always, Mankind falling off the cell. Which one? Because he did it fucking twice in the same match.
You want to know what my finishing move would be, bro?
The penetration?
Close. Larissa said it's knocking them out with my good looks, but she likes lying to me. No, my finishing move would be like Mick Foley's mandible claw, but in the anus. Like, tap out, motherfucker.
Okay, so I was on a show in Pittsburgh, and we're watching, my stuff was done, we're watching the show from the balcony. And the two guys in the ring did a deal where he shoves his thumb up a guy's bum, takes it out and goes to stick it in the guy's mouth. And the guy reversed it and stuck it in his own mouth. Wrestling is weird.
Remember that guy? I forget his fucking name, but when I tell you who he is, you'll know his name, like what he does. This dude's finishing move is somebody would grab him by the dick for who knows what reason, but they do. They grab him by the
Ryan.
dick. Yeah, and he would flip him with his cock.
Yeah, he's pretty much been blackballed from the business.
Oh, why? Because he's like a creep, or?
Yeah. According to some females who have worked with him and some stories, I don't know all the details, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I do, but I do know that he got, because of what happened with him, That he got fired from Impact Wrestling, now TNA, but back then it was Impact Wrestling. He lost all his bookings. He had to close down his indie promotion. And then when he tried to sneak back into the business by hosting a show, and once people figured out he was on the show, everybody, and I mean everybody, was like, no, we're not going to work for you.
So, like,
And
what was this moves and shit in Impact? Because I don't think Impact was doing the whole dick flips and shit, were they?
no, I think they were actually doing something with him, Rob Van Dam, and a couple guys. They were part of a group. It was like, oh God, what was the name of it? Think of the Right to Censor kind of thing. I know it was weird because they were like cancel culture, I think was the name of the group.
So they were doing like a Right to Censor thing in 20 whatever it was, and you have Joey Ryan, who's pretty much a knockoff of Val Venis.
Yeah, it's been years since this happened, but I guarantee if he tried to get back into the business, like the internet has made it so much that it's easier to kind of weave out the creeps, but you also have to be careful because sometimes you'll get people who will accuse people of shit they never did. But you know how it works with the internet. You're wrong until proven right.
That's why
or innocent.
That's why I keep screenshots of every conversation I have. Well, not screenshots, but I keep them. And then I'll screenshot them if I don't trust that person. Because I had an ex recently, I found out through the wormhole, who was spreading really demeaning shit about me that is false and about the relationship. And little did she know that I went to a lawyer and I saved all of our screenshots after we had broken up, because she was claiming that all kinds of crazy shit. Like it was
horrible shit about.
And I'm like, it was basically trying to dodge accountability by making me look bad. Because the way she left the relationship wasn't horrible. I mean, she found somebody else, moved on. I accepted that. However, she didn't like the fact that she got exposed. And I'm like, doesn't bother me none. What other people's opinions are is their opinions. But
like, I've heard all sorts of stuff about me and my brother, even because when you start, for some reason, there's this big stigma in wrestling. Like, if you start a fan, if you start as a fan, for some reason, the boys, people kind of look at you a little shady when you try to actually get in there and start learning, because they think that you're just some idiot fan. But that's not the case. And a lot of guys start like that. And
well, that's an old mindset too, because back in the old days, they used to try to scare people away because they didn't want people to know that it was predetermined. So it
was a very protective thing, for sure.
Yeah. And then if you were dumb enough to survive the scare away, then they would train you for real.
Like, there's certain aspects of it that I do believe is old, like scaring people. You don't need to do that. My brother, when he trains guys or was training guys, he would tell them, I'm not going to scare you. Get in the ring, take a bump, and you're going to see how hard this is.
Yeah.
And right before he's doing what he's doing now, we had 2 guys quit on us because they said their bodies the next day after taking the bumps, they're like, oh man, I can't do this. How do you guys do this? Some people are just built for it, man. Like, if you really have that drive for it, you'll deal with the pain. You'll take it.
Well, I understand back in the day trying to scare people away because it was a very protected sport. It was considered a sport still. But like nowadays where everybody knows it's predetermined, like why protect it and try to scare people away when you want more people?
Like there's certain aspects I still believe in, like fans should never be in a locker room. Ever. Like
that's for business.
Right. If you're somebody who's doing a play on Broadway, people who pay for tickets to come see Broadway, they don't get to go backstage.
No, unless they have VIP package or some shit.
Right. Well, that's more concerts and stuff, but that's what I mean. So there are still aspects of the business that I feel need to be protected. Like, for example, paying the boys. One quick. Fuck you, Jim Miller. Paying the boys is a big part of it. Not so much making people believe what you're doing is real, but getting them to believe the escapism of it all. Bro, like if you're watching a movie.
Like, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but you'll probably agree with me on this. I think the best storylines is when you don't know for certain what is a storyline and what is real life, especially nowadays. Like Maxwell Jacob Friedman was on the fucking news for saying fuck them kids.
Yep. MJF's very good at that kind of stuff. I will say this. I'll say this. Like, to get people to believe what we do is one thing. I've had people throw rocks at me,
Jesus.
like, because they hated me that much. And again, you've met me. Other people have met me during intermissions and after shows and stuff. I can be a fairly nice guy.
Yeah.
But I've had people threaten my life because I've pissed them off over a goddamn wrestling show.
What did you say to them? Like, I'm not defending them. I'm just curious because a wrestling fan.
Okay, so again, I was managing at the time. I had a thing I was supposed to do during the match. I'm standing ringside. I'm doing my shtick. And next thing I know, a rock, ping, right off my temple. Jesus. I clenched my teeth because I knew I can't walk away. I can't walk out of here and say, screw this place, because I have to do my thing.
Yeah.
As soon as we were done, we get backstage. I looked right at the promoter, right at the booker, and I said, fuck this town and fuck these people.
Yeah, but
like I said, there is a line you don't cross, and trying to physically harm a entertainer, a wrestler, that's like believing that somebody in a soap opera committed a murder. It's just ridiculous to me.
I agree with you, and I've heard of weird shit happening. Like one of the best heels of all time, Roddy Piper, he had to wear a leather jacket that was fucking stab proof because he got stabbed too many times.
Terry Funk has told a lot of stories about that. There was the one time the Fabulous Freebirds almost got shot because they were going to attack a blind junkyard dog. Like, people get crazy. They legit get crazy. I've seen fans jump in the ring. Like,
did you ever watch that video of a fan jumping in the ring during a Triple H and Stone Cold match and Triple H fucking Germaned his ass?
Oh, fucking took him right to Suplex City. To it.
Let's talk about some of the funniest moments in wrestling that wasn't meant to be funny.
Oh, yeah. This is all right. Let me think for a second.
How about Mae Young getting fucking powerbombed through a table by the Dudley Boys?
I literally just watched that spot the other day. It was the funniest thing to me watching I don't know why it's funny to watch an old lady go through a table, but it is. It very much is.
Like, it was funny because if you were a fan back then, the Dudley Boys would powerbomb anybody through tables, but they never, up to that point, powerbombed anybody above the age of 40. So to see them fucking powerbomb fucking 80-year-old Mae Young through a goddamn table.
It was great. I just watched a thing that made me laugh my ass off. It was a random SmackDown, I think, and it was like Kane, Undertaker, and Devon versus Christian and like two other people I can't remember. Not important. Point being, Kane, it was Haku that Kane laid out. Lays out Haku. Devon climbs to the top and starts telling him, go ahead. And he's looking at him like, and he does the what's up and everything. It was freaking great.
Another great moment, bro, involving Kane as well. The first time
There's
Kane spoke on camera.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't realize this, but the listeners in wrestling, Kane was not talking for a while, and then he started using like a voice box. But for some reason, he could actually talk. They brought that out. I forget how, but like he could actually speak.
It was because his best friend X-Pac made him. Through the power of love and friendship and acceptance, X-Pac made him speak.
That would have made more sense if that was Dude Love. But anyway, X-Pac, who belongs to the Clique, by the way, X-Pac was like, "Hey, you need to talk. What are you gonna say?" And he said, "Suck it."
The best part, I wish they would have gone through with it. If there was ever like a back in the day moment, I wish they would have done. They should have had Kane join DX and come out in the green and black. I think that would have just put it over the top.
What would have been great is like the whole dun, dun, like the beginning of his intro, and then when it does the explosion, break it down.
Break it down. Hell yeah.
It fucking comes out. Fuck yeah, I would buy DX themed Kane shirts.
Oh hell yeah. Heck, I know that there was a guy who got freaking real popular on the Indies for a minute called Blue Kane.
Oh, the black guy.
WWE, don't sue me. Uh, like that. Like I watched his match. Okay, I found a YouTube video. Guy was talking over his match and stuff they were doing in the match, and it's like the guy's in ring stuff was all right, nothing too crazy, but just the aura. People were losing their minds because it's Kane, but it's blue. Like sometimes it's that simple to get people to go, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life."
Do you know what? Okay, I have my wrestling mind is working. You know what they should do with Blue Kane? Have him be at a pay-per-view and like during his match, he gets attacked by like two other people, and then all you hear is bounce, bounce, and the Blue World Order comes out, and he joins the
Dude,
Blue
I
World
would
Order.
if I was an indie booker with an infinite amount of money, I would so book the Blue World Order inducting Kane or Blue Kane into the BWO on my show. If I had that kind of money, I would so do it.
Dude,
Uh,
the BWO was so fucking brilliant at that
oh, I
time.
love the BWO. Love the BWO.
Weren't they
I have one of their
before
shirts.
DX?
Hmm?
Were they like before DX or were they after?
At the time the NWO was running, and I believe DX was running about the same time. So, but the BWO was literally just a joke that Raven thought was funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like they came out as Kiss one night, and they were doing a bunch of different parodies. And I think Raven told him, "Why don't you be the NWO?" And as Joey Styles has said many an interview, if there was ever a gimmick that should have never made a dime but made a ton of money, it was the BWO.
They even went to WWE, bro.
Oh, I know, right?
Well,
I'm a BWOite. I can't help it.
What's crazy about the BWO is people overlook how talented and agile Meanie was.
Meanie, okay, like for a man his size, it's crazy what Meanie could pull off.
His finishing move was a fucking moonsault.
I wouldn't take it. Okay, one of the worst not injuries, but one of the worst pains I ever felt. We did a deal. It was real early in my career, but a wrestler by the name of Keith Hott. Love you, Keith.
I love that guy. I know him.
You've met Keith?
Yeah,
dude, literally the nicest person in wrestling. Like the dude, I've never heard the guy say a bad thing about anybody, and if he does, he says it in the nicest goddamn way. He's just super freaking nice. Well, my brother is laying on top of me, 69 style, and he did a splash from the top rope. And I felt every bit of his weight, like, oh my God.
Jesus.
And then I got to tell this story since we brought up Keith. He was in a multi-man match. Have you ever seen like a pole match?
Yeah, like the old Vince Russo style pole matches.
Right. Well, this was a multi-man match we called the Tower of Doom. And he jumped from the inside of the ring, outside the ring. Remember, there's 6 guys in this match. My brother was the only one to catch him.
Ooh.
And we were in a high school gym, so he landed on the floor. And I'm on the other side of the ring. Again, I was managing at the time. I saw him go down. And I went, oh, damn, because he went down fast. My brother said, told me after the match, he's like, he leaned over to Keith and was like, you all right? He goes, no, I'm not fucking all right. These fucking fairy cunts didn't catch me. He called them fairy cunts.
We need to get that on shirts.
Fairy cunt? Yes.
Fairy cunts, dude. I was actually
love you, Keith.
I was looking into getting I found biker hats that have funny ass sayings on them. I was thinking about getting them for when I do stand up.
I want to get stickers as the next thing I'm looking into merch wise. I'm selling the bandanas, I'm selling t-shirts and pictures, but I want to do stickers. I think stickers would be the next big thing for me.
By the way, I have t-shirts too. I have you just reminded me. I have Mike Usnick t-shirts available and Pink Sock Podcast t-shirts available through Jules Wells. Look at you.
Plug.
You're the only man I know that can beat the shit out of himself. Man,
oh wait, you want to see something? All right. Oh.
Woo!
Woo! Ow. I'm good.
Ric Flair, man, was one of the best workers in wrestling.
Oh, dude. Okay, Ric Flair. I watched Ric Flair in 2002 when I really started watching Ric Flair because I was a kid, and
Yeah.
he just had come to WWE. The whole invasion, buyout, everything had happened. In my mind, Ric Flair is 54 years old forever. Like the style and the pro.
Wild to me as a kid because I'm like, this dude is like, at the time, I thought he was old as fuck. I'm like, this dude's old as shit and like outworking everybody.
He's, did you hear what happened to him during his last match?
He had a heart attack.
Yeah, they found a hole in his heart like that big, and they were like, "Did you pass out any time in the last year or so?" He's like, "Yeah, when I had this wrestling match." But apparently, he was out. He didn't go to the hospital after it happened. He was at Kid Rock's partying it up like the fucking Nature Boy does. He's a machine. He's a freaking machine.
It is like, I love the mystique of Flair. I love the legacy of Flair, but at this point of his life, it's kind of embarrassing. Because I've seen videos of him at like bars and shit just screaming at people.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know who I am? No, bro. Like,
we mentioned earlier about how in today's age, like, it's very easy to get a camera, turn it on, and talk. Yeah. So guys like Ric Flair and a lot of the guys from the 80s and 90s can turn on a camera and use what little fame they had at that time and keep it going.
Yeah.
So Flair, for the majority of his adult life, has been famous. Think about this. When Flair was our age, by the time the stars of wrestling then were his age, nobody knew what happened to him. They're like, "Oh, yeah, you remember this guy? Yeah, I wonder whatever happened to him." Not anymore. You can do a Google search, and you can see their podcasts. And the heck's going on over there? Sorry if you hear any noise. There's rustling of something going on over here. But like the fact that he can stay in the public eye, I think is why he's still doing what he's doing.
I agree. And a lot of people are like, the longevity of Flair, the longevity of Flair. His wrestling got kind of embarrassing when he was in Impact. If you want to talk about a wrestler who had the best longevity, in my honest opinion, either mention Sting or Terry Funk.
Either or would be perfectly acceptable answer. I love Terry Funk. Love Terry Funk.
Wrestled with bad knees for like 15 years.
If you've ever watched the cinematic masterpiece that is Behind the Mat, when he was in his 50s then, and he was talking about, and they were saying like, you have no knees, your hips are bad, you shouldn't even be able to walk. And he's like, well, can I still wrestle? They're like, you shouldn't even be walking. What are you doing? What do you mean?
Right. He wrestled 15 years after that.
and like, I watched this. There's bits of him in WCW where he's just a crazy old man where he's in the middle of magic, gets on the mic, and I changed the rules. It's an I quit match now. And it's like, no, it ain't, Terry. I love it. I want to see an older wrestler do shit like that where he's like, I'm so old, I don't give a.
That was the thing about Terry, because he was middle-aged and fucking crazy. That was literally his gimmick.
Love Terry Funk. May he rest in peace.
He would come out and be like, this is my final match. And at the very end, he'd promote his next match.
Like, that's what I mean. He was a nut. And Cactus Jack or Mick Foley was about to be the same way. Because Mick's one of those guys I feel like he could have 100 send-offs and he'd never be happy with any of them because he would think in his head, there's still one more thing I got to do. There's one more guy I got to wrestle. He was talking about doing a death match for his 60th birthday. Mm-hmm. And as much as I would love to see him versus Darby Allin or Jon Moxley in a death match, I don't want to see 60-year-old Mick Foley get seriously hurt.
I actually was reading about that. I was going to bring that up. It was supposed to be, from my understanding, from what I read, it was supposed to be Jon Moxley versus Mick Foley in a death match. Now, we would presume this might take place in AEW because they're the only company that would do that.
GCW would be a good place for it.
GCW would be too. However, the only reason it's not happening isn't because Mick doesn't want the match. Mick's been having dizzy spells, and they said it's due to his concussions, and they're worried about his health.
Yeah, he's even said that. He's like, I've had enough concussions to know that I just gave myself a concussion working out. Imagine what would happen to me if I did the shit I was thinking about doing. Like,
well, I guess he
so
developed a concussion because he was at an indie show and delivered the double arm DDT to an indie wrestler.
I'm not sure the whole story, but I did hear him talk about it.
You know what's crazy is his Flair with all the health problems he had back on him. I saw a video of him from like before he died. Yeah, he died, by the way, and he came back. But anyway, he back.
Did you get some news before we went on?
But no, Flair died a while ago. His whole organ stopped, and then he woke up, and then he had a wrestling match, his final match 3 years later. But where was I going with this? Oh yeah, Flair was talking about like him doing hardcore matches. And the only reason Flair did he was starting to do really hardcore matches towards the end of his career is because he talked shit on Foley and then realized.
There is a hardcore match he did with Big Show that people were like, wow, because he was at 50-something years old, he was getting thrown into thumbtacks and bumping in thumbtacks. And it's like, that's insane.
Him and Mick Foley's match. And it was crazy because Rick went from, and this is very notable because he admitted he was wrong. He said that all Mick Foley knew was how to hurt himself and hardcore wrestling's stupid. And then he had a match with Foley and then he started doing them.
Like, by the way, did you see Darby Allin setting fucking Jack Perry on fire? I was like, why? I thought it was you getting set on fire for a second. That hair, damn. But that's what I mean about how crazy people can get wanting to push the envelope.
Well, another wild one, I don't know if you saw this video or not, because it was a really underground indie match, but it was very popular in Japan that it happened. I think it was Japan or Mexico. I forget which area, but they're both fucking crazy sometimes. They were having a death match or whatever, and the dude got mad during the match and grabbed a fucking cinder block and whooped.
Yeah, I've seen the footage. Oh my god. Yeah, it was horrible. Stupid shit. Should have never even been like. Oh my god. Yeah, I watched that footage. It almost made me sick because it's like, because apparently the guy was trying to use it after that and to get bookings. Like, yeah, I bashed his head in with a cinder. It's like, dude, that is the most unfucking safe thing I've ever seen in my life.
And it wasn't.
There's one major rule when it comes to the boys. We're going in there, and we could lose teeth, and we could get bruises, but you're going to get up tomorrow, and you're going to go to work, and you're going to hug your family, and you're going to be able to live your life.
Yeah.
And when I see shit like that, it's like that person doesn't get it.
You're supposed to take care of your opponent.
Yeah. And my dog, I guess, wants to say hi.
Hi. What's your dog's name again?
This is Allie. Come here, Allie. Oh, who's your puppy?
Hi. But like, not to shit on the dead, because he was respectful to me, but like, even with New Jack, like he would stab people in the fucking ring.
Oh, you didn't show him respect? If he had a reason, he'd do it.
Yeah, I knew a guy one time that was in the business, and he said that he met New Jack, and New Jack had beef with him, and another wrestler walked up to him and said, "You better squash it right now, or he will get you."
Yeah,
we actually had to check New Jack and be like,
I've seen footage, and I've seen him talk about it, and I've seen, like, there was a real famous one in Florida where he stabbed the dude in the ring.
Yeah,
apparently the guy wasn't trained, and he talked the promoter into letting him have a hardcore match with New Jack, and New Jack was trying to work with him, but he was being stiff and wasn't listening. And Jack said, "Okay, you're trying to hurt me? I'm going to fucking hurt you."
Bro, I'm sorry, but like, I would do research on who I'm wrestling, because like, if my first match and I'm like, I want a hardcore match against New Jack, I obviously don't know the business.
Well, like, my whole thing, and this goes, and I'm going to get real close to the camera here. And I'm going to take my glasses off. This is how serious this shit is. If you are not trained, if you have not had 1 ounce of training, proper training by someone who knows what the hell they're doing, don't get in a goddamn wrestling ring, especially with a New Jack.
And if you need further assistance as to what we're talking about, look up mass transit.
Oh yeah. Or look up New Jack scaffolding.
Oh, Vic Grimes was nuts, dude.
He admitted on camera, I tried to kill that motherfucker.
You know what I love? Like, it was funny, but it shouldn't be. It was very dark. When he tased the dude, He's like, I can't feel my legs, Jack. And Jack's like, you won't need them.
That's Vic Grimes. That was Vic Grimes. He even said that was my receipt for him hurting me in ECW when they did the. You're talking about when they jumped off the scaffold and he busted his head.
Yeah, he had brain matter out of his fucking nose and shit.
Yeah, the guy that was Vic. He told they made it the rematch, and he's like, I'm going to get my revenge on this motherfucker. He went to a pawn shop, picked up a taser without anybody knowing, and as soon as he got up there, he tased the fuck out of that motherfucker.
I know
his words, not mine.
I know you believe me, but I'm very proud of this. I know some people wouldn't be, but I have an autographed New Jack Hardcore documentary. I don't know if you've seen this documentary, but it covers his entire life and career, and it even mentions like the Vic Grimes thing. It mentions all that before this.
I think it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it might be.
I think I've seen it.
It also talks about when he went to jail for beating the fuck out of a 75-year-old wrestler.
Oh, Gypsy Joe.
Gypsy Joe.
I didn't think he didn't go to jail for that, but he did talk about it. And he's like, I was working in the South, and these people are calling me the N-word, and the guy's not working with me, and I just decided, fuck it, I'm not going to be a joke. And you ain't going to work with New Jack. He's going to make you work. May he rest in peace.
Did you watch the match?
Yes, I've seen the match.
The full match is on this documentary, bro, and it's funny to watch because it's horrible, but it's funny because like Gypsy Joe, you have to give him credit because he got beat with a fucking baseball bat at 75 and kept getting up.
Oh, you hear that ding off his skull, bro. Oh,
he keeps getting up. Well, the thing is, a lot of people don't realize this because Gypsy Joe, he wrestled a lot of famous wrestlers, but he himself was not.
Never got there.
He never got there. Like he wrestled Ric Flair and shit. Well, his gimmick at the time was he's this old ass dude who doesn't feel pain. But apparently New Jack didn't get the memo.
Well, New Jack straight up told the promoter, it's like, hey, there's only two kinds of matches I can have with this guy. It's either going to be a comedy match, and I don't do comedy, or I'm going to freaking murder this old man. And the promoter said, no, dude, he can take whatever you give him.
I bet you after the match, Gypsy, not realizing that Jack was trying to kill him, he's like, oh, that was a good match we had out there. I bet you that's what he go into the back and Jack's all pissed at him. He's like, good match, kid.
Oh, fuck. I know the craziest thing we've ever had to talk someone out of doing, we were doing there was a ladder match in Pittsburgh. And we were outside underneath the Homestead Bridge.
Uh-huh.
You know, the one near Kennywood, that whole area?
Yes, sir.
So they're doing a ladder match, and he goes, and there's 8 people in this ladder match. And the dude wants to jump from the top of the ladder to the outside onto everybody. Mind you, there is no pads around the ring. It is a brick freaking road. And we all told him, no. Because we are not, he's like, come on, this is my only chance to do this. It's like, we are not going to let you kill yourself on a goddamn show, dude. It just ain't going to happen.
For a hot dog and a handshake, that ain't happening.
And the worst part was, I know for a fact that guy drove like 3 hours to get up there to do that show. So you drove 3 hours
to die,
to freaking try to kill yourself. Like, Jesus criminy.
Do you think some wrestlers like that guy, for instance, like should be in therapy?
I think we all should be in therapy because we all agreed to wear stretchy pants and beat the shit out of each other.
You know, Joe Rogan made a point, and I'm not saying anything against gay people because mental health awareness and also it's Pride Month. Like, I support you and all that, but wrestling, like, in the words of Joe Rogan, like anywhere else, that's kind of gay. Like it's not in the ring.
Yeah. But if you look at the history of wrestling, the reason that the uniform is trunks, it's because it was legitimately once a strongman kind of thing. Like you went in there, it was just you and your opponent.
Wasn't it in the circus? Is where it started?
It didn't start in the circus because at first it was like Olympic style wrestling. But those matches would last like 3-4 hours long. A single match. And then once its popularity died down, they started having like strongman competitions. Like the guy would challenge a person from the audience to come in and try to beat this guy in 5 minutes or 3 minutes, and you'd win money or whatever. And from there, but it developed from the Gold Dust Trio into what it is today, really.
Because didn't they, when even during the circus days, they were actually wrestling, and then they realized, hey, it's going to be much easier on us if we just pick the winner.
Oh, there was fixed matches back then too, but your main guy, the guy that the guy was saying, anybody step in the ring with this man for 5 minutes, anybody really stepped up, he could legit put them in a hold and end it right there. Like, you know what I mean? Strangler Lewis, back in the day, that's what he was famous for. Him, Gotch, all the old timers. If you got in a ring with them, there was a chance that if they wanted to end you or like end it right then and there, they could.
Jesus,
without thinking twice about it.
They were like legit wrestlers.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the wrestler? His real name was Abe Coleman. He wrestled from 1927 to 1961. He died in 2007. He wrestled before and after the Holocaust. He was called the Hebrew Hercules or the Jewish Tarzan.
Yes, I have heard of him.
He invented the drop kick and the hurricane spin.
Yep. Which I've been in one of those. Yeah.
Like fucking legend, dude.
Like legit. There's shows I do. I used to work for in Pittsburgh or know of in Pittsburgh that like I'm just going to plug one that I don't even work for, but I know all the guys. I'm friends with a lot of them. The Keystone State Wrestling Alliance really does some old school wrestling, and they love to honor the old school NWA guys, and like they really, if you like wrestling old school and that old school style, they do it pretty good.
Have they been around a while? Because I think I went to one of their events. What's up, Crystal Van Horn?
20 some odd years. So yeah, they're one of the longest running shows in Pittsburgh.
I'm pretty sure I met New Jack at one of their shows, or that might have been XWF Inc. at the time.
That was a whole different place because I don't think New Jack ever worked for the Keystone State Wrestling Alliance.
Well, I think they had like a tie with the company that did have him.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Because I remember there was a company that I followed. I think it might have been just called XWF Inc. Like it only lasted a couple years. But
like it's weird because Jimmy Hart had an XWF, so that like when you say that, that's what I keep thinking of. But I know that can't be what you're thinking of.
Two different companies. They actually changed their name. I don't know what they're called now, if they're even still around.
Bro, I tell you what, wrestling gets so confusing sometimes because it's like, oh, we just went to the DCW show. Well, which DCW?
It's kind of like going to see LA Guns because there's 3 different LA Guns.
Right, it gets really confusing sometimes. I like to call it the whole bunch of letters because, like, you'll get when I was growing up, you'd hear about the 3-letter ones, and then I'm hearing about 4-letter companies, and I'm like, that's a really long goddamn name. And there's a movie that you should watch. It's on YouTube right now, absolutely free. It's called Kayfabe. If you've ever seen This Is Spinal Tap,
I love that movie.
It's in that style where it pokes some fun at wrestling. You get a little peek on how things are done in a little bit of an exaggerated way, but it's funny. It's a great watch. I recommend it. Highly recommend it.
So is it similar? Is it like a combination of like The Wrestler and Ready to Rumble?
I would say think of a documentary. If Ready to Rumble was a documentary,
all right,
it's that kind of thing. I recommend check it out as soon as you can because I think you'll get a kick out of it.
I was reading somewhere Paul Heyman stated when he was being interviewed about ECW, and they said, "Did you have plans for ECW?" Like, and he's like, "Kind of." He's like, "I didn't want to do the hardcore thing much longer," so he was planning on making it more like an MMA based wrestling company,
more like Ring of Honor, how it used to be.
Yes. And he decided just sold to WWE. And actually, you can find the last ECW event ever, which was a house show It's on YouTube, and I actually looked it up. Their roster was small towards the end.
Yeah. Well, all their checks were bouncing. People were getting signed to bigger places. Heyman admitted that half the reason he declared bankruptcy was so that way the IRS people didn't go after the wrestlers.
Yeah.
For money. Like, it was just ridiculous. And it's a shame because I know there's a lot of people out there who want to invest in wrestling, want to start their own show, but money is a bitch, bro. Like, that the amount of money needed to put on an event, even a small one, is freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, and when you were at ECW's level, now you can blame Heyman's gambling if you want, or whatever his problems were. But at the end of the day, ECW, everyone wanted ECW, but nobody wanted to pay to have ECW. Like, TV channels weren't paying advertisements; they weren't running their ads.
Yeah.
They had them at a TV time slot that nobody was watching.
Well, again, ECW wrote their check, made their name on fuck the establishment. We're going to be as violent and as sex driven and as crazy as we want to be. And that does not appeal to advertisers.
Nope.
It just doesn't. Because, yeah, to me, the hardcore fan, or to you, the hardcore fan, oh, yeah, I want to see a ticket to watch this dude do that shit. But let's say little Timmy is with mom and they go, hey, I want to watch wrestling tonight. Oh, we watch WWF all the time. What's this ECW? And then you see tits in your face and broken glass, and you tell your kid, no, you're not watching this ever again.
What's wild though, bro, as I get your argument. However, WWF stole a lot of ECW ideas and created the Attitude Era.
True, but they already had established themselves well within the market. True. Way before that. ECW was new.
True, and plus the first hour of Raw at that time, a lot of people might not remember this, but the first hour was family friendly, and then the last hour was like Attitude Era.
It's just one of those things where WWE saw what ECW was doing. When we are the established brand, the people already know WWF. They had spent 10, 15 years at that point. Everybody knew when you thought of wrestling, you thought of WWF. So when they did that, all they did was go, here's a new coat of paint. And they made sure to avoid certain things that got other people in trouble. And also, they had more money to get away with things that would have gotten other people in trouble.
But what's dirty is like Vince would always buy companies to kill them. And that's what he did with ECW. If you look at the facts, he bought all their good talents and created a hardcore division during the Attitude Era. Like, he slowly was killing them off. He took Mick Foley, he took Terry Funk. You take like all their main stars. The only person you had left was a ride or die motherfucker, Tommy Dreamer. That dude was at every ECW event, every TV event, everything. If you watch anything ECW from before 2001, he was there.
I feel like WWE actually supported ECW more than anything. WCW could care less. They were taking guys left, right, and center. They didn't care. WWF felt the need to have that feeder system. The problem is when you can only grow to a certain size, you only have the money and the finances and everything to stay here, but you need to get out here. You want to get bigger, you want to get better, and that's where a lot of companies shoot themselves in the foot. They try to run these. AEW currently is having that same problem, is they're trying to run these big arenas and they don't have that kind of fan base, that huge fan base to fill up those arenas. So they're blowing through money. And when you do that, you ain't going to have a company for very long.
Let's not forget they bought ROH.
Yeah. And I was so happy when that happened, but now it's like, because there's so many things he's doing wrong with Ring of Honor. We could be here all night talking about that. Like, it's ridiculous because he's trying. People want Ring of Honor. They don't want AEW. They want Ring of Honor, and he's still booking Ring of Honor like it's AEW.
And isn't he booking Ring of Honor matches on AEW events?
I've said this a million times. Right now, they have too many people walking around as champion. You know, Ring of Honor's championships are on AEW all the time. And I understand you're trying to advertise and say, what the heck? You there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was listening.
Okay. My phone went into battery saver mode. I didn't,
You're
so
good. I
everything
was
kind of went
listening,
black
man.
for a second.
You're good, man.
But they have too many champions running around. If they would do a hard split, like here's Ring of Honor, here's AEW. Yes, we own them, but they're a whole separate thing. We run them differently. They look different. The talent's different. There's a whole separate roster there. Then once you establish that there is a separation and people get used to that, then you start doing the crossovers because then people want to see those matches.
Yeah, like
But
Invasion.
right, in a way, yeah. But no, every week I see Ring of Honor's champions on AEW Dynamite. So why would I want to tune into Ring of Honor to see them?
They could
I already
easily
see
do
them.
what WWF did in the early 90s when they brought ECW and USWA and Memphis in, have them have occasional matches on Raw and have them be their own separate thing, even though Vince didn't own the companies. But
if Tony really wanted Ring of Honor to be a success, what he would have done was put them in Orlando in the old Impact Zone because he was already running shows out of there. Have them get their own, separate everybody. Like, okay, you're a Ring of Honor talent. You signed a Ring of Honor contract. You will show up on Ring of Honor, and that is it. Mm-hmm. If eventually we feel like you're getting enough steam or whatever, and we move you up to AEW, then that's fine, dandy, with a bowl of candy. But that's not what he's doing. He's running everything at the same time in the same way. So there's no difference. There's no different flavors.
Do you think he's trying to cut corners and save money?
Actually, no. I think he's spending way too much money and not doing the smart thing. You're a niche product. WWE fans don't like it, but clearly they still have 5,000 people showing up to their shows, but they're trying to fill a 20,000 seat arena. No, they need to run in smaller venues with more packed crowds, get them more invested, more hype, because you can have a small crowd at a wrestling show, and they can sound like a million people.
Yeah, like Impact used to do.
Yeah, Impact used to be hot, like fire with the Impact Zone, like every week, and that's what kept people tuning in. Was look at these crazy motherfuckers. Same with ECW. The fans were part of the show.
What do you think of the possibility of WWE buying Impact?
Well, I don't want to see WWE buy TNA. And yes, they are TNA again. They're not Impact Wrestling anymore.
Oh, they're tits and ass again.
Yes.
I want to see Billy Corgan get it, to be honest.
Billy owns the National Wrestling Alliance,
which would be running full circle if he bought Impact.
Currently he has a TV deal with the CW. Not to brag, but my brother's been doing some stuff with the National Wrestling Alliance and is going to be working with them. I'm not going to say everything that's going on that I've heard, but let's just say some good things are happening for him, which is good because he's been really busting his ass. But Billy Corgan wants to make the NWA a big thing again. Mm-hmm. And I think he can, but the problem is you're never going to build your own stars when you got two billionaires ready to open the checkbook whenever your guy gets hot.
Fair. And I don't know. There's still NWA like companies. Like, doesn't the Hollywood Wrestling Company, is that still owned by them?
When Billy Corgan bought the National Wrestling Alliance, he closed down all the affiliates. He is now starting to work with smaller independents as territories. So right now in Ohio, there is NWA Exodus Pro, which is where my brother's been going up doing some training with them and doing some stuff with them. He's personally getting trained by the NWA World Champion, so good for him.
Who's the current NWA champion?
Ethan Carter III, EC3.
Okay, I didn't know that if he was champion, because last time I watched NWA, because I ain't been keeping up, it was Nick Aldis, I think.
Yeah, Aldis is on SmackDown right now as the general manager, but yeah, EC3 is the current world champion. They have a streaming deal on the CW app. They have all the potential to be a bigger wrestling. Wrestling right now is amazing because there's all these companies doing big moves. Mm-hmm. It's just, when is that bubble going to burst like it did at one point?
Bro,
You
I
know,
laughed the other day because I just saw an advertisement, and you might laugh too as a wrestling fan. I saw a flyer for a new XPW event, and I'm like,
I see them on Facebook all the time, dude. I see flyers on Facebook all the time,
and I'm
all
like,
the fucking
Rob
time.
Black is still around? Like, what the?
I don't think it's Rob anymore. I think someone bought it, but I don't think it's Rob. But that's a whole. I don't think we got enough time to get into X. Maybe next time I'm on here, we'll get into XPW because
Tomorrow,
that's
dude, we
like
have tomorrow. We can talk about XPW.
tomorrow. I will be at the Charleroi Market House for Mon Valley Pro Wrestling, 6 p.m. Charleroi, Pennsylvania. Charleroi Market House, 6 p.m. Be there. Seats are only $20, and I will have shirts available for purchase. $25.
I would make my way up there, but I already planned the podcast.
Hey, and that's cool, brother, and no problem there. I'm sure Rue would love to have the Pink Sock crew up there, and you know what I mean. Heck, we might even film have you interview a couple guys. Who knows? Like, you know what I mean?
Just fucking be live on here through the whole event.
Oh yeah. We'll put you in a little suit and have you with the mic through the whole shtick. You'll be our mean Gene, bro.
Bro, I want to be more like Joey Styles.
Oh my!
Let's talk about somebody who was the jack of all trades. He was the announcer, the interviewer, the fucking.
In my career, I have done play-by-play. I've done ring announcing. I've done managing. I've done in-ring work. I've done a little bit of everything. I've sold merch out of the merch store. You name it, I've done it. So you kind of have to be, especially when you're on the indies, you kind of have to be a jack of all trades because you never know. Like, there might not be a spot for me to wrestle, but the ring announcer might not have shown up. So they might need a guy to do that.
So
you never know.
I just thought of this, but wouldn't that make ECW the most famous indie company? Because if
you could say that.
Because if you think about it, most of the wrestlers shot their promos in Paul Heyman's mom's basement.
Yeah. you could definitely say that ECW is one of the biggest indie companies ever. Ring of Honor could be said the same way. I would say right now the biggest indies out there is like GCW and NWA, and because NWA, even though they're doing their thing, they're making their moves, they're still independent from the bigger companies.
Isn't GCW like pretty much the modern day ECW?
Yeah, 100%.
Like pretty much, yeah. It's sad to watch though, because we will never have another good, and nothing against the guys that were in that company because you're all amazing, you're legends, but we will never have another really good ECW reunion with the original guys because they've
aged out.
They've aged out. The only one we got is Rob Van Dam.
Yeah, pretty much, because like I'll watch any of the ECW reunion shows from the 2005 and stuff, and they're insane.
Yep.
But you take those same group of guys and try to do that now, and I don't think it's possible.
The best one we had is Hardcore Revolution. Have you seen that one?
Do you mean Extreme Rising?
Yeah, Extreme Rising. Well, they had a documentary called Hardcore Revolution that was surrounding it too. I just get the name.
I actually went to the show I talked about where New Jack broke his foot. That was an Extreme Rising show that I went to.
That's fucking cool. Well, we do have kind of close right now. We have House of Hardcore, which is Tommy Dreamer's thing. But
like the spirit of it is still there. Like there's still companies waving that flag, but
well, Paul Heyman said it best during his Hall of Fame speech, which by the way is the best Hall of Fame speech I've ever fucking seen.
Yep.
He put on the ECW hat and is like, if you think the spirit of ECW died in a bankruptcy settlement in 2001, you can suck my fucking dick. Like
there was a meme I watched. The guy's interviewing a girl's like, what turns you off about certain guys? And she goes, guys who like wrestling, and it cuts to him going, you can suck my fucking dick. I love it. Hey man, I don't mean to cut it short, but I do have to get going. This has been a great time. I've really enjoyed myself.
Not short, dude. What were you going for? Joe Rogan?
Huh? But dude, this is a great time, and if you'll have me on next week around the same time, I'll be happy to be a co. Hey, dude, where's my paycheck? I'm your co-host for this bitch now. This is a great time. I love this.
We get paid.
Right? Where's my goddamn hot dog? Fuck you, Jim Miller. No.
I do have a shout out to give because our most recent interview episode, we had the singer Aaron Nordstrom of Gemini Syndrome and Wayoti. Go check that interview out. Have you listened to the band?
I have not. I'm gonna have to check them out. I am sub to you on YouTube.
I love you for that.
Is this going to be on YouTube? I'm just curious.
It's going on YouTube. The Pink Sock Podcast YouTube channel isn't where we stream anymore. We stream to mine. I'm working on getting that one removed because I'm not trying to separate all my projects into different YouTube channels anymore. I'm just keeping
understood. Very good. So before I go, I do have my final plug. Remember, everybody out there listening, tomorrow night, Charleroi Market House, Charleroi, Pennsylvania, Mon Valley Pro Wrestling is going to bring the action the only way we know how, and that's hot and that's heavy, because the place to be is MVP. Buy the goddamn shirts, motherfuckers.
And with that being said, live long, rock hard.